Sai Ram. Last time we broke off just as Krishna was beginning to discuss the omnipresence of God. Omnipresence is most important, which is why Swami makes frequent references to it. Swami says that if we keep experiencing God everywhere, we can never forget Him. As a result, whatever we think, say or do would be influenced by the thought that God is right there watching us. Now, would a child dare do anything wrong if its father and mother were watching? Obviously it would not. In the same way, if man is constantly aware that God is everywhere, in everything and all the time, he would seldom do anything wrong. If one is walking barefoot in the jungle, is not one careful to see that one avoids thorns? In the same way, with constant God consciousness, man would go through life avoiding the thorns that can delay his reunion with God. And that is why experiencing the omnipresence of God all the time is most important. Let us now see how Krishna is explaining this omnipresence.
So Krishna, you are present in all entities, animate and inanimate, right? Absolutely. I am immanent in the atom and in the cosmos. I am immanent in the ant and in the elephant. You name it, and I am there. If that is the case, why is it that we are not able to see you? This is a foolish question, Arjuna. I am immanent and not directly on the surface. That is why people miss me. You are walking on the road and you hear music coming from a house. Someone inside is singing, and all that you can hear is the song. Yet, do you doubt that there is a person behind the song? Then why this doubt about me being behind everything? But Keshava, that is different. We know the connection between the song and the singer. In the case of the universe, where is the connection between, say, the ant and you, or the mountain and you, and so on? There is a connection, but the problem is, you are not making any effort to understand or appreciate that connection.
This is a crucial point. Take an ant. It is so small, its nose or whatever organ it has for detecting smell must be even smaller. Place a grain of sugar in the middle of the room. What will you see after some time? You will see lots of ants converging there. How is it that they are able to detect that tiny grain of sugar? We humans can't do that. People laugh and dismiss this simply by saying, "Oh, it's all nature." Where did this nature come from? Our scriptures describe nature as Divine Mother, and Divine Mother is really an aspect of God's love. Swami says, man tends to feel too clever just because he has mastered bits and pieces of science and technology. Baba adds, man has learned to make fans. Has man made a fan that can blow as powerfully as a hurricane? Man has built lamps that shine brightly, but has man built a lamp that shines as brightly as the sun? Can it illuminate the whole earth? God is everywhere, but the ego of man prevents him from recognizing it. It is to remind us all about the omnipresence of God that Swami often says, I am in you, with you, above you, below you, etc. Let us tune in again to the immortal conversation in progress on the battlefield in Kurukshetra.
Arjuna, let me stress that I am not only the creator, but in fact the ultimate. There is nothing beyond me. Remember that. In the physical universe, I pervade everything that you can think of. I am, for example, present in all the 5 elements: sky, air, fire, water and earth. But here I must caution you, to describe me as being present in this or that is only a limited way of looking at things. It is more appropriate to say that God is the sky or the ether, God is air, God is fire, and so on. In fact, everything in the universe is God.
Krishna, is it that people fail to see you in this universe because they are not tuned to you?
That is right. And God teases man by hiding himself. It is a game. He likes to play. Consider a garland with many beautiful flowers. Can a bunch of flowers form a garland all by themselves? You need a connecting thread, don't you? Yet, when you see the garland, is that connecting thread visible? No. Like the connecting thread in a garland, I am the foundation and the basis of the physical and manifest universe. Can you have a house without a foundation? It is the same thing here, and like the foundation of a house, I remain hidden. However, this does not mean my presence cannot be felt or experienced. Let us say you are very thirsty and your throat is absolutely parched. You see a clear stream with cool water flowing in it. You drink that water to your heart's content and find it very refreshing. But you do not know that the sweetness of that cool and fresh water is me. It is I, latent as sweetness in that water, that brings joy to you. Another example. It is hot and humid day and you are perspiring heavily. Suddenly there is a gust of cool breeze and you feel relieved. Arjuna, I am that breeze, giving you that refreshing experience. I am the brilliance of that blazing fire and the radiance of that blue sky, and so on it goes. The list is endless. Time being short, I won't give you more examples, though I can go on and on. It is enough for you to know that all the excellence and beauty in the universe flow directly from me. If you see a very intelligent person, know for certain that this person's intelligence is not his own, but flows from me. Your brother Bhima is very strong. Do you know that his strength is really a tiny part of my strength reflected via him?
Krishna, you have said many things I have never heard before. I really must take time to digest that all, and that clearly cannot be now. But meanwhile, I am very eager to know what way you are present in me.
Oh Arjuna, I am in you from top to bottom. To put it more crisply, I am in you at the gross level, at the subtle level, and at the causal level.
What does that mean?
Very simple. You have a body that is gross. What is it made up of? Of the 5 elements. I told you earlier, I am the 5 elements, which means I am automatically in every bit of your gross body, right?
I follow that. But can you tell me about the subtle presence?
That is not difficult to understand either. You are a living being. What is the difference between a living being and a corpse? You know that. It is life. This life is a subtle and most mysterious force. I am that mysterious force called Prana Shakti. This mysterious force is able to make your body and the organs in it do so many things, but you are not aware that I am the source of that force. Arjuna, you eat food and later the food is digested. How does that happen? People say, oh, that is all nature. The stomach and the intestines do that work. All that is at the superficial level. In reality, it is I who really digest that food, as indeed I do in the case of all beings, irrespective of how they take in the food.
Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्त पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम्.
It is I again, as Vaishvanara fire, who entering the body of living beings digest, in association with breath, the four kinds of food, that is, that which is masticated, sucked, licked and drunk.
The Vedas proclaim that food is God. Swami wants people to realize that not only is food God, but also the one who digests the food that we eat. Why should we know this? Because we would then be careful about using the energy that food gives us for proper purposes, instead of misusing that energy for evil purposes.
Krishna, you said you were present in all humans at 3 levels. 2 of these you have just described. What about the 3rd level?
Arjuna, did you not pay attention to the word I used earlier? I said I am also at the causal level.
What does that mean?
It means I am present also as the Atma. I am the Atma.
You are present as the Atma in the ant also, are you not?
Yes, of course. But in you, I play a much higher role.
What is that?
That is real knowledge. And now, we are coming to the core of my teaching to you.
So, that is what Atma Vidya means, knowledge of the self or the Atma. The Upanishads say that if that is known, then everything that is to be known is also known. Is it not important then for us to know something about this Atma Vidya? More about all this later. Thank you and Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome once again to this series on the Gita, presented as an informal dialogue between the Lord and Arjuna. For your added benefit, we are supplementing this immortal dialogue with the important teachings of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Towards the end of the last episode, Krishna was telling Arjuna that he would explain the role played by the Atma in inert entities as well as in living beings, including humans. Let us listen and learn more.
Krishna, I am eager to know about the role played by the Atma in the various beings.
Yes, Arjuna. It is very important to know that. As you know, God and Atma are the same. Not only have everything come from the Atma, but further, the Atma is present in all. If the word Atma frightens you, then just take it that God is in all. Now, although the Atma is present in all entities, animate and inanimate, it reveals its presence in different ways. In animate entities, like stone for example, the Atma plays a passive role. In living beings, the Atma plays 2 roles, as a passive entity as well as an active aspect called Prana Shakti. When the living being dies, the active aspect ceases. We say Prana goes, and only the passive aspect remains since the body is dead and inert.
Any other role that the Atma plays?
Yes, in humans, there is a 3rd role for the Atma.
What is that?
In humans, the Atma enables humans to recognize the existence of God, both outside and within. Once a person becomes aware that God is within, then slowly that person's life begins to be shaped and guided by the Atma. And that is how the human slowly rises to the level of God.
Keshava, What exactly do you mean by saying humans rise to the level of God?
That is simple. What I mean is that humans become more and more pure.
How do I know I am becoming more and more pure?
That also is simple. Now what are the impurities contaminating the godliness in you? Desire, selfishness, anger, jealousy, etc. If these traits are progressively reduced, then automatically your purity increases.
In practical terms, what does that mean?
It means your feelings, thoughts, words and actions must all be in harmony and free from contamination.
Swami refers to this internal purity as Trikarana Suddhi, meaning the purity of thought, word and deed. Bhagavan Baba says that these days people say one thing and do something very different. This is the hallmark of falsehood. There are people who preach philosophy and spirituality but are immoral in personal life. As Swami says, such people are platform heroes but zeros in real life. Swami adds that a zero becomes a hero when he starts identifying himself with God. This happens when man begins to listen to the voice of conscience speaking from within. What is this conscience? It is nothing but the Atma speaking from within. That is why Swami says repeatedly, follow your master, your conscience is your master.
Krishna, I want to go back to something we were discussing earlier. You say that God is formless, but right now, you are here before me with a form. I'm confused. Are you formless at times and have a form at other times?
Your doubt is understandable. Arjuna, as I told you earlier, God is eternal and formless. For reasons we shall not discuss in detail right now. At times, God wills and the universe comes into existence. God then fills the universe with diversity. However, all this diversity comes from one primordial divine seed, and that seed is God. That is how the stamp of divinity gets printed onto everything in creation. In other words, the divine aspect is present in all entities in the universe, though not very evident.
Krishna, when God creates the universe and fills it, does it mean that he goes into hiding? What happens to the formless God who existed before the universe was created?
That is a good question. God is eternal, formless, and always exists. This aspect of God is referred to as Nirakara Brahman. That aspect of God always exists, whether or not there is a universe.
Any other aspect to God?
Yes, of course there is. In the universe, God is immanent all over and manifests His power in innumerable and glorious ways. You may say that every entity in the creation is God with a particular form. Thus, wind is God, fire is also God, mountain is God, and so forth.
Hold on for a minute. Before we start talking about entities in nature, what about you? You are God. You have a form and you are not exactly hiding. How am I supposed to understand all that?
That is a very good question, Arjuna. Later I shall talk more about this, but for now, you can say that when God comes down in human form to make Himself directly visible to humans, He is called Sakara Brahman. When God appears with a form to which humans can readily relate, then it becomes quite easy for them to worship God. Incarnations of God are called avatars.
Yes, the avataric appearance of God has done more to promote bhakti than the scriptures have. More about all that later.
Keshava, I want to go back to something you were saying earlier. You said that every entity in the creation is God, in a particular form. Well, is tiger also God?
Of course. But be careful. Don't go too close to the tiger unless you want trouble. I shall tell you more about that later.
All right. Now please tell me, O Lord, what does God do after creating the universe?
He just watches to see what the entities in creation are doing.
What are these entities supposed to do?
That I told you earlier. Basically, every entity is supposed to play a role in my drama according to some rules.
But Krishna, inanimate entities like stone, how can they know anything about the rules when even humans often do not?
Good question. Inanimate entities are ordained by me to automatically do what they are supposed to. A stone has no consciousness. Nevertheless, a stone knows what to do when dropped. It just falls to the ground. Man sees this happening all the time and calls it laws of nature. I call it dharma of the inanimate entities in nature.
Modern science is all about discovering the laws according to which nature works. Why does the earth go around the sun? Why is energy released when an atom is split? Why does water become ice when cooled below a certain temperature? And so on. Man can discover these laws, but he cannot change them. They have been ordained by the Creator, and these laws are under his control alone.
Madhusudana, I understand what you say about inanimate entities like the stone. What about living things like birds, animals and so on?
They too have a dharma of their own. Once again, they do as God ordained them to do. Take a cat for example. When it gives birth to kitten, the mother cat is very protective of the kitten.
But that is the motherly instinct, is it not?
Where did the so-called motherly instinct come from?
It is natural. It is just there, built into the mother cat.
That is how foolish people try to appear intelligent. I will tell you where from that protective instinct comes. From me.
You? What has divinity got to do with a cat and a kitten?
Arjuna, for you it is just a cat and her kitten. But for me, it is something else. I am the mother cat and I am also the little kitten. What you see as the mother protecting her babies is really me loving myself. Don't you understand? It is one aspect of me in creation loving another aspect of myself in creation.
Oh Krishna, my head is spinning once again.
No wonder Arjuna is feeling lost. Swami has explained what exactly this love in creation means. We shall find out about that next time. Meanwhile, please do try to absorb the lessons presented this time. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome again to our serialization of the immortal Gita as a simple conversation between man and God. The universe, Krishna explained earlier, is a stage for his mysterious drama. In this drama, there are many actors, but every single one of them is really God in disguise. The most important among the actors are, of course, the humans. Arjuna wants to know more about the Leela of God called life. Let us find out how Krishna is explaining that.
Keshava, please would you go over once more about this strange drama going on in creation?
Sure. In a nutshell, Arjuna, all that you see in this world is really different forms of me acting in different roles.
But why on earth do you want to do that?
Because this is a game I play. It is like the mono-act play acting you humans enact sometimes. Mine is also a mono-act of a kind, but it is huge in scope. The difference is that all the different characters are visible at the same time, but inside each, I am there.
Sometimes children play all by themselves, talking to themselves, imagining they are playing 2 or more roles. Adults also do this sometimes for entertaining public audiences, assuming successively the role of many characters. For example, a man may impersonate a husband, the wife, and the mother-in-law. It's actually one person, but playing the role of 3. This is called mono-acting. In God's drama called life, the different characters all have different costumes and different apparent personalities, rather like actors in a regular stage play. The main difference is that while in the worldly play, the different actors know they are participating in a drama, in the divine play, the participants are not aware that they are actors. Further, though the different actors have different bodies, from a spiritual point of view, it is all the same Atma, wearing different dress. In other words, it's rather like the mono act, except that there are actually many bodies with different costumes, as opposed to the conventional mono act we are all used to. Let's now see how Krishna explains all this to Arjuna.
Krishna, you say life is a game you play. What is the purpose of this strange game?
Well, in this game or play of mine, every form of myself is supposed to show love for every other form, and that does not happen.
That I understand. Otherwise, how could we have all this hatred we see around? But then, why do not the different forms love each other?
That happens because of the influence of the gunas.
And gunas are shaped to a large extent by the forces of the world?
Sure, people become greedy. About what? About the many things they see in the external world. They are tempted by this and that and want to have all of them. They fail to realize that the moment they die, their possessions mean nothing. Greed arises on the account of giving importance to the transient. But if their focus is on the Atma, then there would be no problem.
Madhusudan, when people forget to love each other, does that not mean that your play is being ruined?
Not exactly. What happens is that the play becomes more interesting.
In what way?
It gives me a chance to incarnate with a human form and move with people like you.
Krishna, when and why does God, the formless, incarnate?
That is an important question that merits a detailed answer. Arjuna, God in his formless aspect ordains creation, lays down rules according to which entities in creation would function and then watches. In other words, once the universe has been set in motion, God functions largely as a witness. All entities in creation are supposed to follow certain rules. Inanimate entities follow what some scholars refer to as laws of nature. Animals and birds function according to pure instinct. But where did these laws of nature and this instinct come from? From me. A bird flies long distances to collect food for its young ones. It wants to feed its young ones. Who told it to? You would say it is instinct. Where did that instinct come from? Me. If you examine carefully, you would literally see love in action everywhere, and that love comes from me. But when it comes to humans, it is a different story. Things do not happen automatically.
Lord, Why is that?
Because of the mind.
Mind? How come?
While animals follow preordained natural instincts, man acts in a way his mind tells him to. It is man who decides what his actions would be. Take your own case. Earlier, you were dead set on fighting the Kauravas. But here on the battlefield, your mind, monkey mind if I may say so, deluded you and made you say, "No, I will not fight."
Krishna, are you saying that humans have the option of deciding what they want to do and how to act?
Correct. And that is because I gave them the power to decide instead of deciding it for them via built-in instincts.
Why did you do that?
That is where the purpose of life comes into picture. I shall come to that later. But for now, let me get back to the question of when and why God appears on earth with a form. Partha, God is love, and compassion is one of the manifestations of love. When God finds that His children are deep in trouble because they have lost their way in their return journey to God, He comes down with form to help directly and in person.
Krishna, I know that right now you're helping me. But in general, what are the ways in which God helps when He comes down as an incarnation?
Oh, there are so many ways, too numerous to mention right now. Remember, the fighting is all set to start. However, since you have asked, let me briefly say this. I come down from my formless and higher aspect bearing a form for two main reasons. First is to protect my devotees, and the second is to help Dharma get re-established in all its glory. I do this in many ways, one of them being elimination of people who try to destabilize Dharma in a massive way.
Once again, we must pause because this is a good place to draw attention to what Bhagavan Baba says about why God comes down with a human form. Swami says that when God comes down as an avatar, humans have a chance of seeing God, talking to God, serving God, and receiving His divine love directly. This is illustrated beautifully in the Ramayana through the stories of the boatman Guha and the tribal woman Sabari. Swami has added another very important point. When God incarnated as Lord Sri Rama, He came with a bow to punish the wicked. When He came as Bhagavan Sri Krishna, He came with a chakra that once more sent a strong message. But in the present Kali age, the avatar will not annihilate nor encourage annihilation in the name of re-establishment of Dharma. Prema or divine love is the strategy He would use for transforming all, including the most hardened person. Yes, love conquers all, and that is the message of Bhagavan Baba. With this background, let us rejoin Krishna and Arjuna.
Krishna, does God always annihilate the wicked for establishing Dharma?
Not necessarily. The avatar helps in the restoration of Dharma in various ways. Use of weapons to eliminate the wicked is one of the methods. Obviously, when the population of the world is very large and adharma is widespread, one has to use other methods, the most important of these being transformation. But that I shall discuss some other time. For the present, it is enough for you to know that I occasionally incarnate to play a role in my own drama. Many of these subtleties are not even known to the Devas or the demigods.
We are now coming to an important aspect of the appearance of God on earth to help man and to rescue him from the numerous dangers facing him. We shall hear more about all this next time. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, and welcome again to our serial presenting the immortal dialogue between God and man as a simple conversation. I hope you are able to follow what we are trying to say and offer to you and appreciate the inner meaning of the Gita. Last time we came up to the point where Krishna was just beginning to explain why and when God comes down with a human form. Let's listen in and find out what more Krishna has to say on the subject.
Arjuna, let me tell you something more about the subtlety relating to God. People are confused about God because most of their attention is focused on worldly affairs. Preoccupation with this transient world inevitably produces delusion. Tell me, how can a deluded person have a clear vision of the divine?
Krishna, are you saying that if we become preoccupied with the world, we would miss God?
Absolutely. Don't you see people constantly asking, where is this God you are talking about? I can't see him anywhere. The arrogant go even further and sarcastically remark, how can you see God when he does not exist?
Yes, Krishna. I have heard people make such remarks. What sort of a reply should one give to such comments?
Arjuna, tell them that anyone can experience God everywhere. Just look at yourself. You are God. Don't focus on your transient body, but on your heart. God is present in your heart all the time, and you can have his vision there anytime you want.
Madhusudan, I am able to vaguely understand that you are present everywhere, but not visible to the normal eye. How then am I to recognize your presence? Can you please give me an example?
Sure. Whenever you see goodness, understand that goodness is a signature of the divine. When a man is good, the divinity in him automatically shines via various virtues. All virtues, like Kshama or forbearance for example, are manifestations of God. Indeed, there are innumerable ways of God in this universe. The beauty of a peacock is God. The glory of a sunset is God. The majesty of mountains is God. Everything is God, and yet people complain they cannot see God. How strange. In simple language, people whose buddhi is sharp have no difficulty at all in seeing me and experiencing my glory everywhere. Believe me, wherever they turn, they see only me and nothing else.
Arjuna has now become absolutely fascinated by divinity. He has forgotten all about war, his lost kingdom, etc. His thirst for God has become acute, and he just cannot wait to know more and more about God.
Oh Krishna, you are telling me wonderful things I did not know until now. I am now filled with a deep desire to know more about you. Please, O Lord, would you most kindly tell me more about your glory and grandeur?
Of course, Arjuna, I most certainly shall. But you must remember that my glories are literally infinite, and we have very little time right now. So I can give you only the barest glimpse at present. Later, you can contemplate in leisure on my limitless and incomparable glory and grandeur. Since I pervade everything, my glory also is spread everywhere. Anything beautiful, grand, wondrous, magnificent and marvelous that you see in the creation is just me greeting you via that channel. It can be anything: a starry sky, a majestic mountain, a roaring waterfall, a mighty river, or even a gentle stream, a fabulous beach, the atolls, the coral reefs, the soaring birds, the colored fishes, the royal tiger. All these are nothing but me in various disguises. I appear in diverse forms to make people happy in many different ways. Arjuna, I am ever ready to oblige and give ananda or bliss to all those who seek it. In whatever way people seek me, in that very same way do I respond.
O Lord, out of immense compassion for me, you have explained to me most clearly as to who exactly you are and how you pervade the entire universe. As a result, I have better understanding of the eminence of God in the universe. And now, Lord, most humbly and respectfully I make a request. Can I see you in your mighty cosmic form, please? Is it at all possible?
We now come to the famous scene where Krishna shows his cosmic form. Before revealing that, this is what the Lord says.
Arjuna, you are asking to see what has barely been seen before. For you, however, I shall make an exception and reveal my cosmic form. Get hold of yourself and be ready to see something that is not only breathtaking, but also truly awesome.
We all know about this famous scene in the Mahabharata. Krishna blesses Arjuna with what is usually referred to as divine vision, as a result of which the familiar form of Krishna dissolves into something vast and awesome. Arjuna is both wonderstruck and petrified. This immense and fearsome form he was seeing before him, was it the same as the Krishna he knew all along? Trembling, Arjuna now says,
O Lord, I am at a loss for words. Within your blazing form I can see everything, every being and every entity in creation. This incredible form before me does not seem to have any beginning nor end. Mind-boggling it truly is. O my dearest Lord, I realize now, feebly perhaps, that you are at once the eternal being, the supreme being and the goal that is to be attained. Till now, I used to think that the fleeting and transient world was the reality. But now I realize how wrong I was, and that it is you alone who are truly the ultimate reality. By you alone is filled the space between the heaven and the earth. O Almighty Lord, the three worlds tremble at the sight of your wondrous but terrifying form. As I see your supremely effulgent form stretching to the very heavens, I am absolutely petrified. I just cannot bear this frightening vision. I am frightened because I see you in all that is expected to happen in the future, especially the death of our arch enemies. As the moths fly into the flame only to be destroyed, I see these people plunging into destiny to meet their violent end. Tell me, O Lord, who presents such an awesome form that strikes me with fear and fills me with dread? Tell me, O Lord, who exactly are you?
Arjuna, I am time, and to me as time, everything in creation has to bow. I am destiny, and I have destined death for every creature, all including those whom you are hesitant to slay will die, whether you do it or not. Arjuna, when the bodies of these people are doomed to perish, why do you hesitate to engage them in battle, especially when I am ordering to do so? Now that you have got a glimpse of me as time and destiny, it behoves you to implicitly obey my command. Cast aside your doubts and misgivings and trust me. Place your faith in me. Pick up your bow and arrows. Get up. Prepare to go out there and fight. Arjuna, creation is a cosmic drama scripted, produced, directed and staged by me for my pleasure. All beings are actors, nay, puppets. Everyone is a puppet. A few know it, but most do not. Nothing can happen unless it is according to my will. Not even a blade of grass can move unless I will that it be so. People do not understand this. You too. I have already ordained that Bhishma and Drona shall die in this war. And they will too for sure, whether you fight or not. The question is whether you want to accept the role I am giving you or you want to quit. Once again I say you, get up and fight and slay your enemies. Don't think you are killing them. They are being swallowed by time, and you would merely be assisting the process and helping in the restoration of dharma.
This is a most powerful declaration. Bhagavan Baba says that time is so powerful that even avatars submit to it when their mission on earth is over. Arjuna is simply stupefied by what he is seeing. He realizes with horror how much he took Krishna for granted earlier, even calling him at that time by a nickname. Palms united in humble salutation, body trembling, Arjuna now starts speaking in a choked voice, filled with fear. What exactly does Arjuna say? For that, we have to wait till next time. Tune in again for more of this glorious conversation between God and man. Jai Sai Ram.